Pamela Geller. If you don't know that name, you should. She is at the top of the U.S. hit list from ISIS. They threatened her life. She's the lady who hosted the cartoon event in Garland, Texas, where those two Muslim terrorists showed up trying to shoot people. They thankfully were killed on the spot. Go ahead. Let's show the cartoon that she's trying to get. She has submitted an ad for Washington, D.C., the MTA, for their buses and their trains there. I'm going to read to you her statement because it's good. She said, because the media and the cultural and political elites continue to self-enforce the Sharia without the consent of the American people by refusing to show any depictions of Muhammad or showing what it was in Texas that had jihadists opening fire, we are running an ad featuring the winning cartoon by former Muslim Bosch Fawston from our Muhammad art exhibit and cartoon contest in Garland, Texas. Let the American people see what the cowardly press is censoring in accordance with the blasphemy laws under the Sharia. All right. Now they submitted this ad by, I don't know yet if it's been accepted or rejected, but she said something here that I need to correct, and everyone, you need to get this down. What she said was that it's against the law to make a depiction of Muhammad. That's only partly correct, okay? Both Shiites and Sunnis, some of them do have images, portraits, old paintings of Muhammad, all right? It's not something that Muhammad accepted as being valid, but there was no death sentence attached to it. The death sentence is because of the insult, all right? So if somebody were to draw a picture of Muhammad interceding on the day of judgment for his people, crying out to Allah to let people out of hell, and it was a respectful image, they're not going to be targeted for death. The death sentence is attached to the insult, and that practice of killing people who mocked Muhammad started with Muhammad himself. I have read these passages on the show before. I encourage you to go to our website, read the material about Muhammad killing those who satirized him. For example, when Muhammad marched on Mecca with a force of 10,000 people and took the city and destroyed all idols there and said, this is it, Islam is your religion. And they cowered, they surrendered, and they accepted. The terms of surrender were that you will become Muslims. He said, however, there are certain people that have to die, and even if they're found clutching the curtains of the Kaaba, they must die. And these were people who had mocked him in song and in poetry. That's it. He said they have to die. The daughter of Marwan, Bint Marwan, she wrote some poetry verses that insulted Muhammad. And she did it as a protest against Muhammad because Muhammad had one of her friends murdered for insulting Muhammad. So she probably thought, I'm a woman, he's not going to have me killed. So her friend gets killed for mocking Muhammad. She creates some verses of poetry. And Muhammad says, who will rid me of Marwan's daughter? And one of the men standing next to him said, I will. And he went and he killed her in her bed. He murdered her, stabbed her in her bed. The next day, the man said, I've killed her, Muhammad. Do I have anything to fear? And Muhammad said, two goats won't butt their heads together because of her. So he went back to the town where the woman was and found 5 of her sons and challenged them and said, if you want to seek vengeance against me, do it now. Don't keep me waiting. Let's go. He was ready to fight the 5 sons. They saw that they were dealing with somebody who was fierce, wild-eyed, and they were afraid and they backed down. And their text says that the people of that village became Muslims that day because they saw the power of Islam. In other words, they were so terrified, they said, we'll become Muslims. We'll become Muslims. So understand, number one, that the death sentence is related not to the depiction, but to the insult, to cartoons, to lampoons, you know, the turban in the with the bomb in the head, that type of thing. That's number one. And number two, you have to understand that they view these types of acts where they try and kill these people, they view them as acts of evangelism to bring people into submission to the Muslim faith. I have been a leader in the pro-life movement for 30 years. And sadly, we have not prevailed in our goal to make it a criminal act to kill an unborn baby. There's reasons why we have failed. I wrote this book, A Humble Plea, to Catholic bishops, to evangelical clergy, and to lay people, explaining where we went wrong and what we have to do to prevail. We've made this available as a PDF online for free. I encourage you to go and download your own copy. Why does a nice guy like me keep getting thrown in jail? I have been arrested almost 50 times and spent over a year of my life locked up in various prison facilities. And I wrote a book, many books. In fact, one of them is called Why Does a Nice Guy Like Me Keep Getting Thrown in Jail? It's a theological work, answering those who say that the church should not be involved in politics or that we should retreat. I encourage you to get it. In fact, get one and give it to your pastor.